Every game developer out there constantly strives to make the best game possible. Having great graphics, banging music, and sick game mechanics are all aspects of making a fun and memorable game. But what if we went in the complete opposite direction and tossed all great things about a game out the window? What if we made the worst game ever? That's what I ended up creating. I managed to create what might be the worst game I've ever made. I'm talking horrible graphics, terrible mechanics, atrocious music, and a lot more. So, without further ado, let's jump right into making the worst game ever. So to keep things simple, this game would be a platformer game. However, it would be as bad as possible, so let's go on with how I managed to make this monstrosity. First up, I went ahead and programmed in simple platformer character movement, with a twist. You can't really tell here, but the controls are quite wacky. Holding R would make you move right, L would make you move left, and J would make you jump. In hindsight, these controls are kinda decent, I guess, since you can link each movement to a letter like J for jump, but they're still pretty trash. Next up, I decided to work on a bit of art for the game. I wanted this game to look jarring and ugly. Like, it's one thing to have something like bad pixel art, but for the worst game, I had to basically have art that would constantly clash with each other. So, for the player, I took some stock images of some random people walking and jumping, scaled them down, and tossed them into the game. Next up, I went ahead and made a really bad background in MS Paint, and a tree, and a rock, which looks kinda decent at least. After this, I made some grass by just taking a fake PNG of some grass off of Google Images, and slapped all of this together in-game. Alongside this, I decided to include a useless mechanic in the game. Coins, or in this case, bitcoins. Usually in games, coins have some use, whether it be adding to your score or allowing you to purchase items. Here, you collect bitcoins for absolutely no reason. And alongside this, the UI is pretty trash, or in this case, great, I guess, and collecting these coins doesn't actually add anything to the counter, so you're welcome for that. After this, I went ahead and came up with a title and plot for the game. The main story for the game would be inspired by stock images, specifically this one of a guy wearing a watermelon as a helmet. The main story for the game would be that Mr. Watermelon has challenged Orange Shirt Man to find him, and upon doing so, he would win 100 watermelons. So, with that set in place, I went ahead and made a title screen with the name of Orange Shirt Man's Quest for 100 Watermelons. Also, the title screen is completely disorganized, and if you click quit, it'll start the game regardless, so you can't quit the game at all. Plus, there's this funny sound button, so I wonder what that button does. Anyways, the worst game ever needs the worst music ever, so I basically opened up Mixcraft, took out my MIDI keyboard, loaded some random instruments, and just slammed my keys for a few seconds, and one of the songs sounded like this. I'll also include a download to this game's OST on the game page, just in case you want to listen to this with your friends in a car or something. As a side note, while I was testing the game, I actually had to mute it because it was simply too annoying, so I think I did something right in regards to that. For the sound effects, I basically recorded myself saying random stuff like Yahoo! Or Bitcoin, pitch shifted them up, and bitch crushed them to sound something like this. After adding these in, I had to find ways to make this game even worse, so I did a few things. Firstly, I made it so the frame rate of the game would randomize every second, meaning the game could go all the way down to 1 frame per second or all the way back up to 60. Basically, this makes it really annoying to play and leaves it up to luck to determine how fast the game actually runs. Alongside this, I went ahead and made it so your X and Y position would randomly be modified as you were playing, making movement even more stuttery. Yeah, basically this game was really starting to take shape and become really, really bad. Next up, I finished actually making the final level for the game. I added in a few invisible platforms as well, since those are always fun to add, and alongside this I added a Goomba to the game, which I ripped directly from the original Mario. If you jump on them, you just fly up. After all of this, I went ahead and added a mysterious portal to the level. Jumping into it, something will happen, which I won't really spoil here, so go check that out. Then, the final aspect to the level was added, being Mr. Watermelon at the end of the level. Upon touching him, you'll be transported to a different screen where every so often a watermelon would spawn in there until there are 100 watermelons on the screen. Yeah, you gotta wait until all 100 of them appear to get the real ending. With the level being complete, I went ahead and added a few final things in, mainly in the UI being a level title of Grassland full of grass and land, a control pop-up in the top corner, and a game over screen. After all of this, I needed to add one final awful thing to the game. So many games decide to put some fake loading screen at the start to simulate loading, and it legit pisses me off when games do that. So, I went ahead and added a fake loading screen to the start of the game. Have fun waiting through this one. And with all those aspects implemented, the game was incomplete. Normally I would say here that the game was complete, but come on, with a game this bad, there's no way I would actually consider it complete like any of my other games. So yeah, that is how I made the worst game ever. If you want to try this game out, there's of course a link in the description to the game's itch.io page with a browser build as well. Go check it out and let me know how much you hate it. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any interest in any of my other actual good games, be sure to go check those out as well. As always, thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.